From Utah's first TV station, ABC4 News at 5 starts now.
Hello everyone, I'm Jared Jotnini in for Nick McGurk. Thanks for joining us tonight on the ABC4 News at 5. Now we'll get to the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic in a moment, but first we begin with an Amber Alert. Last night, early this morning, many of us were woken up to an Amber Alert without any information on it. ABC4's Jordan Verdadero joins us live in Salt Lake City with what the Department of Public Safety has to say about this. Jordan.
Jared, after the glitch, the Department of Public Safety announced that it will be putting a hold on Amber Alert pushes to your phones. So they will continue to notify people, but it will be through your local law enforcement or your local news, as well as the website alert.utah.gov. As for the Amber Alert, it was for missing 4-year-old Erilyn Crow. She was reportedly abducted by her biological mother, Courtney Crow, who is not her legal guardian. Erilyn has been found and has been reported safe. Police tell us the mother, Courtney Crow, was arrested and is now facing charges. Joe Doherty, spokesperson for the Department of Public Safety, says there have been 3 issues in the past with Amber Alerts caused by different things.
3 different things that we have been working on over time, and will continue to make improvements into the system. And our overall goal is to provide a system that Utahns can have confidence in, and they can know that when they're getting an alert, they can trust that that's an alert they can do something about.
Joe Doherty, the spokesperson for the Department of Public Safety, says they are working to fix the bugs that have been eating at the system for months. We'll have much more on that story at 10. In Salt Lake City, I'm Jordan Verdadero, ABC4 News.
Now, from ABC4 News, coronavirus preparation versus panic.
All right, thanks, Jordan. Now to the latest COVID-19 numbers. Statewide, the Utah Department of Health is reporting 2 new deaths, bringing the state total to 27. There are more than 3,000 cases and more than 63,000 people have been tested. 259 people have been hospitalized. Now we're learning one of those deaths is senior missionary elder Alan D. Pace. Pace was 68 years old. His family says he died yesterday from complications of COVID-19. Nationwide, there are more than 722,000 confirmed cases, nearly 34,000 people have died, and nearly 65,000 people have recovered. Tonight, the White House, Congress, and governors across the U.S. are focusing on how to contain the economic devastation. Leaders are trying to find ways of reopening society without risking a second wave of infections. This as protesters across the country take to the streets to protest stay-at-home orders. However, experts warn of the importance of keeping things locked down to help flatten the curve.
This is Seattle, so you can see they had a much lower peak, and this is when we talk about flattening the curve. This is what flattening the curve looks like. It becomes a longer, slower decline, but it never gets very high and then goes back down.
More than 45 experts now joining forces to create a plan to get America back up and running safely, with Danielle Allen, the head of Harvard's SAFRA Center of Ethics, leading the bipartisan panel. The plan centers around massively ramping up testing for the virus to 5 million tests per day by early June and up to 20 million a day by late July. Now, across the globe, more than 2.3 million people are now confirmed to have the virus. More than 611,000 people have recovered. However, more than 164,000 people have died from the respiratory illness. France's Prime Minister Eduardo Felipe says the country is past the peak of the coronavirus pandemic. According to authorities, the total death toll in France is now more than 19,000. Prime Minister Felipe says the number of patients in the ICU has decreased day after day since reaching the peak. Meanwhile, in North America, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says it'll be a slow process reopening the country.
We're going to have to be very, very careful, very gradual, very progressive if we are to prevent the kind of resurgence that would send us all back into lockdown as we were before.
Canada has roughly 35,000 confirmed cases and more than 1,500 deaths as a result of COVID-19. Today, the Navajo Nation announced 70 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the confirmed positive test numbers to 100,197 people have died, no new deaths to report. Now let's break down the numbers. Navajo Nation spans 3 states, including Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. In total, Arizona's Navajo Nation has seen 714 cases, New Mexico 469, and Utah has 14. The Navajo Nation remains under a mandatory curfew order until at least tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. In addition to the mandatory curfew, Navajo Nation also issued an order requiring all residents to wear protective masks while out in public. Now, officials say COVID-19 is hitting the Navajo Nation especially hard. CNN's Gary Tuchman has more on how medical professionals are dealing with the pandemic.
Take a look at the nurse in the yellow being suited up. The protective mask she is wearing is a welder's mask. Personal protective equipment is at such a premium that this hospital has bought 60 masks from a welding company. This, one of the many challenges for the Gallup, New Mexico Indian Medical Center, which sits adjacent to the remote splendor of America's Navajo Nation.
This is the largest ICU in Navajo Nation.
An infectious disease expert for the Federal Indian Health Service takes me inside the intensive care unit.
We've transformed this kind of regular ICU into a COVID unit. We're doing things we never would have thought were proper, like put the IV poles out here in the doorway where someone might trip over them. This is the best way for the nurse to be able to manage the medications without having to put on PPE every time the nurse goes in the room.
In that room, a very sick woman who has been on a ventilator for about a week. And in a nearby room,
roll it down and squeeze, like toothpaste. Squeeze it in. Yeah. Just be careful with the one that's got the thing missing, because like I said, it'll squirt in your face.
a woman who appears to be in even more dire shape, about to get what's known as a fresh frozen plasma transfusion.
It's an FFP transfusion to prevent bleeding problems at this time. So it's part of a resuscitation.
Take a few deep breaths. And how seriously ill?
That's a very critically ill person right now.
She was in there. There was a patient in there.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead.
While this is the largest ICU of the 4 Indian Health Service hospitals in the Navajo area, it is much smaller than you would likely think.
There are 6 rooms. Right now they're all full. And what happens when people come in and have to go into the intensive care unit and there are no rooms, often they have to be flown 130 miles to Albuquerque. It's very upsetting for members of the Navajo Nation to leave their nation, to go to Albuquerque. But unfortunately, that's become a necessity.
It also happens when people with COVID-19 already in the ICU need special surgery or procedures that aren't able to be done in such a rural area.
The Navajo people live between 4 sacred mountains, and in general, people prefer to stay in this area. They're basically their homeland.
Many of our staff speak Navajo, so it's very comfortable for them to be here with us here on Navajo Nation.
When members of the Navajo Nation feel they might have COVID-19, they are initially seen outside this hospital in tents that have been set up.
Any body aches, muscle aches?
Yes, I do, yeah.
And then,
this is where suspected COVID patients are first brought, the emergency room.
Patients are evaluated here, and then they might go to a coronavirus ward.
Want to know about the case?
Where there is some good news today.
We're going to get a chest x-ray, some labs, we're going to retest her, and I think likely we'll be able to get her out of here.
Super.
That's
excellent.
the plan.
Outstanding. Thank you.
The Navajo Nation, with about 175,000 people who live here, has more cases of COVID-19 than 9 entire states. More deaths than 13 states. And according to the chief medical officer of the Navajo Area Indian Health Service,
I do not believe we have hit our peak yet.
there are believed to be enough ventilators here, but the PPE shortage is very concerning.
I try to tell them to be strong, use all their PPE, and try to get some rest so that they stay healthy.
But it weighs on you.
It does.
Before we leave the hospital, a decision is made. The woman in this room who needed the transfusion needs critical care she can only get in a bigger city. So she is brought out on a stretcher and will be taken by ambulance to a plane for a flight to a bigger city hospital where doctors will try to save her life. Gary Tuchman, CNN, Gallup, New Mexico.
Wow, what a unique look inside. Now, last month's $2 trillion stimulus package included $500 million for Indian affairs and $8 billion for tribes. But community leaders say it isn't enough to meet supply shortages and infrastructure shortcomings like broadband and drinking water. Many Native American communities lack basic infrastructure to adequately deal with the pandemic in the first place. All right, Adam Carroll joining us live with the first look at the forecast. Adam, is this rain finally over?
Well, for some of us, it looks like we might be coming to an end, but we talked about the opportunities to see some isolated to scattered showers and thunderstorms here nearly statewide today. The University of Utah Health camera from downtown showed between 11:15 and 2:45 a nice little cell move right through here, the center and southern parts of the Salt Lake Valley, but the northern portions of the valley have stayed relatively dry out there, and we're still seeing it firing up here across much of the region. You can see these colder cloud tops, these blues, and even sometimes you'll see some yellow and oranges here show that we have some pretty significant development of storms underneath these clouds that is bringing both precipitation and both lightning and rumbles of thunder out there. And you can see here, looking at our strikes, now this is all based on what the map is looking like, but we do have lots of activity out there on Storm Tracker radar, and the Storm Prediction Center is right in line with what's actually happening outside right now. Now, the backyard forecast for those that maybe want to stay in the backyard tonight shows scattered showers and thunderstorms out there right now, maybe lingering into the 6 p.m. time frame, but we're going to stay in the low 60s here through at least 7 p.m., and we'll eventually start seeing those storms come to an end by that time as well.
All right, that sunshine looks great. Thanks, Adam. Remember, pinpoint weather forecast at your fingertips from anywhere, anytime, day or night with our ABC4 mobile pinpoint weather app. All right, coming up, a political convention unlike any other in history. We tell you about it just ahead. And Joe Biden with a win in our neighboring state to the east. More on that coming up. Welcome back. The state's two largest political parties are gearing up for a historical state convention. Now, due to COVID-19, this will be the first ever remote or online convention. Delegates will likely send two gubernatorial candidates to the ballot. The candidates could be ones who already gathered enough signatures to make the primary ballot. Political correspondent Glenn Mills spoke to Utah GOP Chair Derek Brown about how the voting will all play out.
On Wednesday, we will release all of those speeches at the same time. Thursday morning, the voting will begin, and it will go for a period of a couple of days. And it'll give delegates all over the state a chance to sort of do their homework, get to know these candidates, and then make a decision.
Unprecedented times there. Now, the state's primary election is June 30th, 2020. Former Vice President Joe Biden is the winner of the Wyoming caucuses. Those caucuses took place by mail this year due to the pandemic. Biden got a little more than 72% of the vote, and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders got the rest. Sanders has suspended his campaign for the Democratic presidential nomination, but he's still collecting delegates. Coming up, a new ranking that might have many Utahns disagreeing. We introduce you to 2019's most popular national parks, and it might not be the park you're thinking of. All right, welcome back. Now to a traffic alert. The final leg of a 4-part closure of SR 201 at 5600 West is slated to get underway in just under an hour from now. It's part of the bridge demolition project. The closure runs through Monday, April 20th. Tonight, both directions of SR 201 will close starting at 6 p.m. and remain closed until 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Utah has some gorgeous national parks, Zion, Arches, and Bryce Canyon, just to name a few, but none as popular as the Great Smokies. For another year, the Great Smoky Mountains has been designated as the most popular national park in the country. The National Park Service says about 12.5 million people visited the Smokies along the North Carolina-Tennessee border last year. Coming in second with nearly 6 million visitors is Grand Canyon National Park. The Great Smoky Mountains and Grand Canyon have held the top 2 spots since 1990.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Adam Carroll, Weather Rate certified 9 years in a row.
All right, it's been raining. Hopefully this week, starting Monday, Adam, is a little nicer.
Well, I got to tell you, Jared, you're going to really want to stick around for the 7-day forecast because you're going to really like what the next weekend shows in terms of temperatures. But looking right now here, looking out west on the Cedar City airport camera, which is from the Southern Utah University camera network, real dark clouds. And this is what it's been like here most of the day across portions of our state. But just up the road, about 10,000 feet up outside of Beaver, you're looking at Eagle Point where it is snowing hard right now. Unfortunately, their season has been over for quite some time, but even the high mountains are seeing the snow right now. And then Hiram, beautiful shot here, really green, Hiram Reservoir, and of course a storm that just moved off into the mountains here, just but bringing in a little bit of shower activity to the Hiram area and cooling you off. But 56 in Logan, 60 in Salt Lake, 65 Green River, 72 in St. George, 48 and 47 Evanston and Rock Springs. And some areas that are seeing some storms, like in Hanksville, 24 right now, 14 in St. George, 15 in Moab. You're seeing a little bit more in the way of some sustained winds. We've got one area of low pressure, 2 areas of low pressure. Both of these are counteracting each other and bringing in the activity here today. And you can see a wide area of cloud cover, though. We're seeing a little bit more sunshine, though, along the Arizona Strip, portions of far northern Utah into Idaho. But it is very active here on Storm Tracker radar as it's moving from west to east here, right through that south central portion of the state. High elevation snow here as we head into places like Low and Antimony up in those higher mountain locations. But now it's going to be crossing over I-15 here in a few minutes. So Beaver, there's your Eagle Point right there. But we're still going to have this here for the next several hours, really through about midnight, it looks like right now. More isolated in nature farther north you go. Places like Elko seeing around the area. But overall, not as bad up in northern Utah. But tomorrow, yeah, we're looking at another area of isolated to scattered storminess, but it does look more isolated than even scattered out there tomorrow. And you'll see that here on FutureCast as we roll through time. We're still seeing the wet weather and storminess here through 9 p.m. through midnight, snowing in the high terrain. Beaver might be mixing in with a little bit of snow here by midnight. Then it moves off to the east. Moab will see an early morning shower tomorrow. Then it gets more isolated by tomorrow afternoon, but still sun and clouds out there here. And that does include the St. George area. But then as we head into tomorrow night, we're starting to maybe see our next storm system getting closer. So we're starting to see overnight thunder showers here. So St. George is likely going to see some areas of wet weather here in the forecast as we kind of move through time into that Tuesday time frame. But we'll 66 in Salt Lake, 69 in Moab, 76 in Moab, 67 in Elko. And I got to tell you, you're looking pretty good here for your 7-day forecast, as I mentioned, which, yeah, it looking like 80 and then maybe even 90 degrees in St. George. Look at that Sunday next week. Wow, that would be first time this season we're seeing 90. And for the Wasatch Front, 70 on Wednesday, a stormy day Thursday, and then look at the weekend, 69 and 78. Ooh, we're pushing 80 there, Jared.
All right, Adam, we know the future of the weather here, but Wes joins us now. The future of the NBA, a little uncertain.
It's cloudy. Little weather segue there. Yeah, some basketball experts weigh in on what the future of the NBA may hold, and we're going to take you back in time to when Jazz guard Jeff Hornacek strangled me, then went out and played a great game. Sports is coming up next.
Time now for ABC4 News Sports with Wesley Ruff.
Well, the sports world continues to be shut down. There are signs that things could be changing, but no one can agree if or when sports will start up again, and no one knows what it will look like when it does come back.
I never thought in my lifetime we would be without sports. I've been through 9/11. That's probably the worst thing I've been through in my life, but I never thought we could never play sports.
It seems like, with things that are coming out, like with the 25-day plan of when we could return or what will happen once we get the green light to return, it makes it feel as if a plan is slowly coming in place and that we are headed in the right direction.
I hope so, but we're going to do what's best for everybody. I mean, it's going to be safety first, and we'll defer to scientists and the doctors. I mean, there's nothing else we can do.
Well, I got to tell you something. It's going to be a long time before things are normal. Even when we get back to playing sports, fans are not going to be allowed in the stadiums or the arenas. But man, it's going to be a long time before fans are able to come to games again.
Well, tough to take. Well, time to check in on what the Utah Jazz were doing on this date in history. April 19th, 1998, the Jazz were in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers. Kobe Bryant with the dunk. Then the big fella, Shaquille O'Neal, flying through the lane on his way to 33 points. End of the game, Jazz were down. Hornacek misses the three ball. Malone gets the putback, but too little too late. The Jazz lose by 4. 2009, the Jazz back in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers, this time in the playoffs. Game 1 of the first round, Carlos Boozer led Utah with 27 points, but the Lakers, led by that guy, Kobe Bryant, blows by Kyle Korver. He scored 24 points. The Lakers won the game 113-100 to take a 1-0 lead in the series. The next year, the Jazz were in Denver in the playoffs. Darren Williams led the Jazz with 33 points, 14 assists. Carlos Boozer had 20 points and 15 rebounds. And Kyle Korver hit a three ball with 90 seconds left in the game to put the Jazz up. They would go on to win at 114-111. That evened up the series at a game apiece. And back in 1997, the Utah Jazz were playing the LA Clippers in the first round of the playoffs. Jazz guard Jeff Hornacek got off to a horrible start in the first 2 games. I asked him about it. He choked me. I lost my voice later that day, and it made for a fun story.
Yesterday morning at Jazz practice, I asked Jeff Hornacek about his shooting. He was 5 for 18 in the first 2 games. That question apparently touched a nerve.
Slap it.
Wait, didn't I just read a story about a guy grabbing a guy by the throat?
Did you
Go
get
ahead.
that?
You
Did
can
you
do
get
that.
Last night, with my question apparently still fresh on his mind, Hornacek came out and hit his first 7 shots. He ended up hitting 9 out of 12 and scored a game-high 28 points. Afterwards, I asked about his shooting again. We're going to have to a great start shooting tonight. What was that all about?
Did I hurt your neck that much?
Yes, you did. Is that going to be a new pregame ritual for you?
Yeah. Can I do that I'll get harder and harder every time, too.
Well, if it helps you shoot that well, we'll go for it.
Well, I think I looked at the first 2 games and just realized that I'm a little hesitant on shooting the shot. I tried to drive it too close. I went into tonight's game just saying that when the pass comes, just catch it and fire.
So you hit your first 6, 7 shots in a row, and you think, I can't wait till postgame so I can tell you Wes, hey, in your face.
I thought that after. No, I actually didn't think about that at all.
Well, that hurts.
You could see that he was ready to play, and he certainly didn't want this to go any longer than it had to, and he was just tremendous. Made big shot after big shot.
In Los Angeles, Wesley, I'll do anything to help out Ruff. News for Utah Sports.
See, that is called reporter involvement, just doing my part to help the Jazz get the victory. Do whatever I can.
Just a nice look back. Thanks,
Sacrifice
Wes.
my voice, sacrifice my throat.
Glad you're not doing that tonight.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Hey, Adam, let's get a final look at the forecast.
Well, I just have to show the 2-7 days again because of the last couple of days, which is next week. And look at St. George. 85 and 90 is in the forecast for next Sunday, which would be the first 90 of the year, but not the earliest 90 on record, not by any such means. But for the Wasatch Front, after we get through the scattered thunderstorms on Thursday, that 78 on Sunday looks awfully nice, guys. I gotta tell you, try to get all your work done during the week because you're gonna want to be outside in your backyard for the weekend.
All right, I guess we'll look forward to next week. Thanks, Adam. And thank you for watching the ABC4 News at 5. We're right back at 10.